Imagine a king's home, a palace, becoming a slaughterhouse. Think of a 233-year-old dynasty, worshipped, revered in temples, and believed to be the living representation of the Hindu deity Vishnu. They were just gathering for a relaxed Friday night family dinner. Now imagine that culminating into the bloodiest royal slaying ever recorded. And the architect of this carnage wasn't a foreign enemy, nor a political insurgent, but someone they knew, loved, and trusted implicitly. Tonight's story is just about that. The night the gods bled. Welcome to Weltered Mari Gold, where we share dark and mysterious stories from South Asia and beyond. I'm your storyteller Ambika, and this is the true contested story of Nepal's royal family massacre. The palace known as Narayanhiti was more than just a home. It was a sacred beating of the Kingdom of Nepal. And on that evening of June 1st, 2001, it was hosting a bi-monthly family gathering. The guest list was exclusive, only the immediate royal family. There was the adored King Birendra, age 55, his formidable wife, Queen Aishwarya, age 51, his pregnant daughter, Princess Shruti, age 25, his youngest son, Prince Niranjan, age 22, and 22 members of the extended inner circle. The host was the one who mattered the most, Crown Prince Dipendra, the 29-year-old heir. All these people gathered under one roof were moments away from something no one could have ever imagined. In the days leading up to this fateful dinner, a strange note of planning had entered the usual, last-minute routine. Dipendra's cousin recalled his unusual insistence, pressing her repeatedly. "Will you be there? Should I say you will be there?" It was a small, unsettling detail that signaled in retrospect that this gathering was not going to be like any other. The Crown Prince was ensuring his audience was complete. The first crack in the evening's facade appeared around 4:30 p.m. The host himself, Dipendra, was missing. When he finally appeared at 5 p.m., the change in him was immediate and aggressive. This was a man educated at Eton, respected, and known to hold his liquor well. But tonight, he was visibly drunk on whiskey, incredibly high, on a combination of marijuana and hashish, and suffering the effects of long-term antidepressants. His behavior was erratic, culminating in a loud argument with a guest. The guest was his great-uncle, who had seen him earlier in an excellent mood, and he felt quite baffled. But the royal family knew the source of the pressure cooker that Dipendra had become. It was Deviyani Rana. For years, the Crown Prince had been consumed by his desire to marry her, but Queen Aishwarya had forbidden the union, citing Deviyani's family connections to the disfavored Rana regime, and even a preemptive curse from the royal astrologer, who claimed Deviyani would be unlikely to produce a male heir. The ultimate fear Dipendra faced was not spiritual but material. His family could cut off his allowance, rendering him penniless. Earlier that evening, the prince had called Deviyani one last time. The conversation went this way. "Not again, Dippy. Family, family, family." She challenged him. That call and Dipendra's subsequent unanswered return calls would later alert security. It was in this state of rage and humiliation that his mother, Queen Aishwarya, took swift action. She ordered her youngest son, Niranjan, and his cousin Paras to escort Dipendra back to his room. As they carried the heavily intoxicated heir, his legs dragging, a final spark ignited. In the privacy of his quarters, Dipendra picked up a photo frame of Deviyani and smashed it to the floor, the glass shattering into 1,000 pieces. A physical manifestation of his final break. But before we go any further with the story, if you want to hear more such dark and mysterious stories from South Asia and beyond, please follow the Weltered Mari Gold podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Or if you are watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get on with the story. King Birendra, oblivious to the chaos upstairs, joined the party at 8:45 p.m., relaxed on a sofa in the billiards room, sipping some cognac and listening to his news bulletin. Crucially, the private nature of the gathering meant no palace guards were present. And then the prince reappeared. He was no longer the messy, drunken Heir. Dipendra emerged dressed in his official army fatigues, carrying an M16A2 assault rifle. He was known to be obsessed with weapons, but the sight of him now armed and purposeful was, to say the least, chilling. He walked down the steps, stepped into the billiards room, and locked the door. He saw his father and, without a word, emptied an entire cartridge. King Birendra was immediately wounded, bleeding from his neck and stomach. It was a chaotic, shocking, singular moment. The prince fled the room, exchanging his M16 for a second weapon, a more manageable Heckler and Koch assault rifle, and his pistol. The entire massacre, from the first shot to the last, lasted devastatingly short 5 minutes. Dipendra re-entered the room. His uncle Prince Dipendra lunged forward to stop him, shouting, "Enough! Give me that gun!" He was shot point blank, flying backward. The prince then shot indiscriminately. Princess Shruti, his sister, rushed to their father, holding the king's head in her lap. Dipendra, remembering their past arguments, fired upon them both, riddling the king and his daughter with bullets. He continued to spray the room, injuring and killing his relatives in a blazing arc of fire. The prince was relentless, unstoppable. He returned to his room a third time and emerged with a third weapon, an MP5K submachine gun, dreaded for its accuracy. Queen Aishwarya and Prince Niranjan had managed to flee the carnage and ran out into the palace garden. Dipendra found them. The queen, forgetting her own safety, stood defiant. Before he could squeeze the trigger, Prince Niranjan heroically lunged in front of his mother to shield her. The deadly burst of MP5 shells struck them both, and mother and son lay dead together on the grass. The palace security staff, hearing the screams, were paralyzed. The shooting was too fast, and the chain of command was broken. The shooter was the crown prince, the future king of Nepal. When the military finally gained access, Prince Paras took command. First take their majesties, then take the injured, leave the dead for now. King Birendra, barely clinging to life, was rushed away. Stepping back from the bodies, the crown prince walked across the garden. Before anyone could intervene, he reversed a shotgun, aimed it at himself, and fired, taking 2 shots to his chest and a single bullet to the side of his head. 13 members of the royal family now lay dead or wounded. King Birendra was pronounced dead at 9:15 p.m. that night. The king, whom the people believed to be a living god, was gone. In a twist that sealed the monarchy's fate, Crown Prince Dipendra, in coma, but technically still alive, was proclaimed king of Nepal. He reigned for 2 days after dying on June 4th. The palace's response was a disaster. The queen's brother, Prince Gyanendra, the only member who was mysteriously missing and absent from the party, maintained initially that the deaths were the result of an accidental discharge of an automatic weapon. After Dipendra's death, Gyanendra, who now ascended the throne, retracted the statement. But the secrecy had taken hold. They turned down a forensic investigation by Scotland Yard, and no autopsy was ever performed on the shooter. The facts that remain are brutal and contested. A revered, educated hero died of 2 gunshot wounds to his own chest from a shotgun, an impractical angle for self-infliction. And the official report found 78 empty cartridge cases from 3 separate guns. Today, almost every Nepali harbors a fundamental doubt about the official version, giving rise to the 3 theories of doubt. That Dipendra was the victim of a conspiracy benefiting Gyanendra. That the forbidden love theory merely masks a political assassination. Or the most complex theory out there, that is, that the attack was a geopolitical orchestration, involving foreign powers aiming to eliminate the monarchy altogether. The evidence points most strongly to a personal catastrophe. But that night, the Nepalese monarchy, a dynasty of gods and kings, perished. As their bodies lay on the grounds of the palace, above all else, they looked like humans, flawed, broken, and tragically mortal. The chilling mystery of the Nepalese royal massacre continues to fuel debate to this day. There are so many versions of it and so many conspiracy theories, from the political fallout to the eerie history of Narayanhiti Palace itself. But this marks the end of this episode. Until the next one, stay kind, stay safe.